Fermi paradox is a favorite discussion point among scientists and lay people alike. There are trillions of planets that should be capable of supporting life. So, where is everybody? Why don't we see any evidence of other life in the universe? Where are the Klingons? Come on! Let's go! This was taken further by the introduction of the Drake equation. The Drake equation set out to define exactly how many planets should be teeming with life. Now, both of these are based on a lot of assumptions, but the alternative would be a pretty big assumption as well. I mean, the alternative is that Earth is this special, magical place, and that the entire universe seems to exist just for humans to go out there and colonize like we're used to. And that is a massive assumption. It's pretty narcissistic, if we're honest. It seems far more likely that there should be other life out there in the universe. We shouldn't be unique. So again, we have to ask ourselves the question, the aliens at? Today, we have found absolutely no evidence of life anywhere else in the universe. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, of course. We just haven't found it yet, and the universe is really big. We also haven't been looking for galactic megastructures like Dyson spheres for that long, so it is possible there's evidence that we just haven't noticed yet. But we've been searching long and hard for alien life, so wouldn't it be great if we, finally found something? Well, according to the Great Filter, no. It really wouldn't. It would be really bad. If we were to discover complex multicellular organisms on another planet or planets, it might mean that we, humanity, are completely screwed. The Great Filter. The initial assumption was that the universe should be overflowing with life. Even if life didn't form on every suitable planet, there are just so many planets that it should still have formed on billions of worlds. From our own experiences and goals, we believe that the natural progression for life is to lead to intelligent life, which will then lead to space colonization. The rest of the universe has had a more than 10 billion year head start compared to when life on Earth began. So look, if life did form elsewhere in the universe, we should probably see evidence of space colonization somewhere. In fact, I'll ask the question, why have we not been colonized yet? But we don't. We haven't been, which means something between point A of habitable planet and point B of galactic conquest is extremely unlikely. One of the steps on that path must be acting as some sort of filter that few, if any, civilizations are able to pass. It was first put forth by economist Robin Hanson in 1996, and he later refined his argument in 1998. Hanson broke down the process into 9 steps. In reality, there would be more steps than this, but it is a good starting point. First, you need a good location. We need the right kind of star, with the planet orbiting in the Goldilocks zone, the distance at which water can exist in liquid form. The planet also needs the right composition, including enough organics like carbon, which life can be created from. Once the suitable location is found, life needs to begin in the form of reproductive molecules and simple single-celled organisms. Now, if you paid attention in science class, you probably have a good idea how this chain goes. From simple organisms, we get more complex single-celled organisms, and then sexual reproduction is introduced. Although people often think of this existing for more complex life forms, single-celled organisms are capable of both sexual and asexual reproduction. And once our bacteria have started knocking boots, it's time to introduce multicellular organisms. From there, Hansen chose to skip several billion years of evolution and go straight to intelligent animals that use tools. Step 8 is where our society is now, an intelligent civilization advancing towards a potential colonization explosion. This colonization explosion refers to colonization of space, not to be confused with the colonization explosion undertaken by the British. The final step in the chain is, of course, that outward colonization of the solar system and beyond. Now, we know that steps 1 to 8 have all taken place on Earth, and we have yet to see any evidence that step 9 has taken place anywhere else in the universe. That means that one of these steps is virtually impossible to complete. The only issue is that we have no idea which one, which is why the more life we find across the universe, the scarier our future becomes. If we are truly alone and there is no other life in the universe, that means that the filter was at one of the earliest steps, and we just happened to win the intergalactic lottery. But if we find that life is abundant, particularly complex organisms, it becomes increasingly likely that the filter is ahead of us. We have yet to find other life, but we also can't prove that there's nothing out there to find either. So, where do people believe the filter is. The filter is behind us. Now, it's quite possible that the Great Filter is behind us, and this would be the ideal situation because it would mean that we aren't in fact careening towards inevitable total destruction. So that's nice. Look, we know that step 1, habitable planet, is not the barrier. We can see them everywhere, so it would have to be one of the other steps. The initial creation of life from organic compounds, referred to as abiogenesis, could be the filter. Even though there are theories as to how it happened on Earth, we don't really have any idea. Seriously, how do you create living organisms from random molecules that are not alive? We don't know, and as far as we know, it happened on Earth only once. It could be because once life was created, there was no reason for it to happen again, or it could be because this spontaneous creation of life is the Great Filter. Once single-celled organisms are created on the planet, it seems unlikely that the huge barrier would be the creation of more complex single-celled organisms. That seems like it would just be natural course of evolution. However, the creation of multicellular organisms is a bit more complex. It took about 3 billion years for it to happen once life began on Earth, but multicellular organisms are believed to have evolved independently at least 25 times. It's unclear why it took so long for this to happen the first time, if it then happened so many times in total. But with this happening so many times compared to abiogenesis happening only once, this step is less likely to be the Great Filter. That brings us to intelligent life, which theoretically means us humans. Though your mileage is absolutely going to vary, but not for you watching this video. Look at you with your big brain. Life has existed on Earth for 3.7 billion years, and it has had 5 mass extinction events. In all of that time, there has only been one species that we would define as intelligent, and that intelligence really only began about 3,000 years ago. Since it took billions of years and the universe hitting the button labeled restart simulation multiple times for intelligent life to form on our planet, it's not unreasonable to suggest that intelligence may be the Great Filter. However, the principles of convergent evolution have led many scientists to believe that intelligent life resembling humans is an inevitable stage in the evolution of any ecosystem. The filter is in front of us. Alright, now we reach the alternative, that the filter is actually in front of us somewhere. This is why the prospect of discovering celestial bodies teeming with microbes or more complex life forms is quite so terrifying. It would mean that either the filter is intelligence or that the filter is something else we are rapidly approaching. The scariest thing that we could find would be the ruins of an extinct alien civilization, as that would almost certainly indicate that the Great Filter is in our future, and again, we're all absolutely f***ed. There are a lot of ideas about what form a future Great Filter would take. It could be some extinction event beyond our control, and that mass extinction events are an unavoidable part of the cycle of any planet. Or it could be something that we create ourselves. It's possible that every civilization that reaches the point that we're at now is destined to destroy themselves in their pursuit of colonizing the stars. Perhaps global nuclear war becomes inevitable. Malfunctioning nanobots could turn every civilization into grey goo, or the world could become dominated by superintelligent artificial intelligence that doesn't share our human desire for outward expansion and is just content to exist here on our home planet. It could also be something far more mundane. Part of an intelligent species taking control of a planet is the destruction of that planet. Earth's resources may feel limitless, but they're certainly not. Most of our resources are likely to remain in good supply for at least a couple hundred more years, but we could potentially run out of silver in the next decade. Also, a couple of hundred years sounds like a really long time because we'll personally all be dead by then, but what about the rest of humanity? How long would the colonization or at least the mining of other planets and asteroids take? Will we have enough resources to last until then? Well, we could speculate, but we don't really know. Beyond the depletion of resources, there's also the matter of climate change. Since the Industrial Revolution, the actions of humans have resulted in global climate change that is rapidly approaching a point of no return. If we reach that point without correcting course on a global scale, there's a possibility that we'll cut our species' life expectancy too short to make the advancements necessary to colonize beyond Earth. Another possibility is that the actual desire to colonize is the Great Filter. One proposed resolution to the Fermi paradox is that there is actually tons of intelligent life out there. They all just have the good sense to conceal their presence from the rest of the universe. As such, colonization and expansion would not be a major goal for them in the way that it is for us. It could be that the desire to colonize and the general psychology of a race that would possess that desire are the ultimate undoing of any intelligent civilization. For example, say we establish permanent colonies on Mars. Given all of humanity's history and species' love of tribalism, what's to stop Mars and Earth from completely destroying one another in an attempt to monopolize resources? Are we totally screwed? But without more information, it is totally impossible to say. We could be totally screwed, like so many civilizations across the universe could have been, or we could be the very first one. Everything related to the Fermi paradox and the Great Filter is just speculation and assumption built on top of more speculation and assumption. If we assume all the assumptions are correct, we still can't say for certain whether or not we're screwed. There's a strong argument to be made that the Great Filter was behind us, especially with either abiogenesis or the jump to intelligent life. There's also a strong argument to be made that the Great Filter lies ahead of us, because, well, where is everybody? It's also possible that there is more than one filter. The creation of life may be vanishingly rare, but so too could be the ability for outward colonization beyond one's home planet. If we never find another form of life, not even bacteria, anywhere else in the universe, then the Great Filter was almost certainly before us. It's a bit lonely, but it also means the entire universe will be humanity's playground. We could go from galaxy to galaxy, strip mining entire planets and leaving a wake of destruction as, oh well, humans are wont to do. If we do find other life, well then things become less clear. If we find the bacteria are common on other planets and moons, but never find anything beyond a single-celled organism, then we will likely have our answer that, once again, the Great Filter was behind us. However, if we found planets covered in vegetation and crawling with animals, that becomes a lot scarier, but a lot less certain. Such a discovery could indicate that intelligence is the Great Filter, and we're the lucky ones. It could also mean that the Great Filter is still ahead of us, and all intelligent life is doomed to self-destruction, leaving only trees and stupid animals behind. Unless we found remnants of an intelligent civilization on that planet, it would be impossible to say which was true. Life has existed on Earth for 3.7 billion years, but intelligent life has existed for less than 1/100th of 1% of that whole time. If you were to randomly pick any point on our planet's timeline in which there was life, there would almost certainly not be intelligent life at the time you picked. That random selection is what we're doing when we're examining a new planet, so it's hard to derive too much meaning from it. Maybe intelligent life hadn't formed yet, maybe it never would, or maybe it already did, but they killed themselves. The logical thing might not be to worry about the implications of finding such life on a planet until we actually do. But then again, that wouldn't make us very human, would it? While the Great Filter is presented as a possible resolution of the Fermi paradox, it is only one of many. The observable universe is utterly massive, and there's even more universe that we'll never be able to observe. It's been suggested that the universe could actually be overflowing with spacefaring life forms, but that Earth is stuck out in the fucking boonies, so we're just never gonna see them. If that's the case, it'd be nice to know that at least we aren't destined to destroy ourselves. But it would still be pretty disappointing to find out that the universe was one big party and we just weren't invited. Thanks for watching.